Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an outstanding show for you. Good news for Xbox, bad news for Sony's Wolverine. We're going to get into that because they lost their creative director. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. There's some things starting to come out behind the scenes that this game is going to get ultimately delayed quite a few years. Again, we'll get into the the specifics of it. The leak I knew had something to do with this possible delay. The creative design conflict that happened with the former director of the game seems to be that samey feel. Again, we saw what it looked like. I'm going to be honest with you. It looked pretty good, but the problem was it felt like, well, Miles Morales Wolverine, when it's supposed to feel like, well, Wolverine. And we're going to get into that. But we also have a story here. Now, this story ran the gambit. I happened to pull the story from GamesRadar.com. And basically it says a staggering 52% of U.S. Xbox Series X and S players launched Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on Monday after its release. We're going to get into what the analyst actually had to say. But listen, before we get into any of that, a couple of, house cleaning or housekeeping things. One, I Love Coffee is going to be joining us on Mondays on a regular basis. Now, he is someone that has been on the chat, been a guest here, I think 3 times. The community actually really liked the way he spoke, the way he conducted himself. So I reached out to him and said, hey, listen, do you want to join us on a regular basis? He said yes. He happens to be running a bit late. He had a bit of a family emergency very early in the morning. Everything seems to be good, but he'll get here when he gets here. Second piece of information, obviously, Friday's Breakfast with Boom, which of course was the 4th annual Mrs. Boom's birthday bash. We got 5 of the winners. Their prizes have been sent. We are still missing 5 winners. So I'm going to read those winners live on the air. Please reach out to me via DM, via email, which you can find at the About page of the YouTube channel. And more importantly, you can also reach out to me on Xbox Live. It is E Ranks, Ian Glenn, Failsafe, King Styles, and Smitty Smith. Please reach out to me one way or another so we can get you your prizes forthwith. Actually, the first 5 prize winners, 3 of which were in the UK. And of course, as promised, Mrs. Boom and I did spend the extra money to get them their full $50. And listen, this is something that we do here, and we do it thanks to the generosity of everyone here in the channel. Whether you drop a super chat, whether you are a channel member or both, this is how we're able to do these giveaways. And again, we do have 2 monster-sized giveaways happening, one of which will be in a couple of weeks, which on the 20th, in 16 days, Mrs. Boom and I are going to be giving away 15 copies of Stalker 2. And of course, that is going to be your choice, whether you want it for PC or, of course, Xbox, your choice. And we are giving away the standard version, which is the $60 version. We are not splurging on the very expensive version because, we are a mom and pop organization and no one's funding this but Mrs. Boom and I. So we will be giving those out. I'm not sure if it's going to happen on the 20th or that week's Breakfast with Boom. I have to see the schedule. But needless to say, that's one, and the big one. And folks, this is the biggest one we've ever done. I'm actually nervous. I'm going to be honest with you. Is we're giving away $2,000 in 2 hours for I think it would be the 7th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick, and that is a lot of money. Again, it's a bit nerve-wracking to give away 10 $100 prizes in itself when that's $1,000. But this year, instead of 2, we're adding 4 grand prize winners, $250. And again, we can't do any of that without the incredible support from you fine folks. And that's what's happening in the next before year's end. We have a $1,000 giveaway, which is going to be the 15 copies of Stalker 2, and a $2,000 giveaway, which is going to be the 7th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. And again, we cannot wait to do it. We are so happy and privileged to be able to do these big giveaways, and that's thanks to you. But let's get into the panel here. Fuzzy, how's everything, kind sir? How was your weekend?
Oh, it was great. Glad to be here with you as well. Man, it's fun just enjoying games and stuff like that. And I've been playing a bit of Prey, just because I'm on my sci-fi kick. Played a bit of Starfield with the Shattered Space. Played a little bit of Outer Worlds, and decided, well, Halloween season, yeah, let me go for a little ratchet up of horror themed type of sci-fi games. And I didn't want to dive into Dead Space just yet. I wanted to go to one that I hadn't finished, but loved up to the point where I wound up getting stuck on a few things. And yeah, I'm just having a good time playing that all over again. And I highly recommend it. If you're into sci-fi, if you're into horror, give Prey a chance. It's just one of those games that was seriously underrated, much like I would even say like Mad Max is another one that's a seriously underrated game, but definitely worth the playthrough. But other than that, just watching people, jump through hoops to say that the PS5 Pro was something that it's not. And so glad we got some specs out there now. But hey, for those that get it, enjoy it. Wouldn't be me, can't be me.
No, not for $700.
No, just not going to do it. But man, some interesting topics to get into. Can't wait to talk about these things. But yeah, we're going to have a fun show.
Yeah, indeed. And, again, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are wondering why we aren't specifically talking about the specs, and they're not leaked. Someone got it as an early preview unit and took pictures of the actual paper that comes with the console. This isn't someone trying to, pull the wool over someone's eyes or a banana in the tailpipe situation. These are it is what it is. Why we're not talking about it specifically is because I want to have this conversation with people that know tech, and that is Kay Asante. I'm going to see if John Wolf could possibly join us on Wednesday evenings primetime gaming. He's another techie kind of a guy. Matter of fact, co-host with Kay Asante with a show that's happening tonight that they do each and every week. And of course, we're going to see what Hargeet Chani has to say. We have some quotes from the co-CEO of SIE or PlayStation, and he's already said, don't expect temper expectations, don't expect next generation. Folks, I'm here to tell you that is an alarm ringing bell for me, which is why I'm glad I didn't spend the $699.99. But again, for me, it would be the $800+ because I would need the disc drive because I have disc games, and I would also need the stand, which is $30, which is just ridiculous. But I see Smitty Smith in the chat. Brother, you want a $50 gift card, please DM me, or, of course, email me. We'll get you your, I'm assuming, Xbox $50 gift card. We can get you that forthwith, and, of course, we'll read the other winners as well. But let's get into the first story. Now, I'm going to hold off with the Marvel's Wolverine because I really kind of want to see if we can get I Love Coffee in here. He has some thoughts and some theories, maybe even some behind-the-scenes stuff that we want to get into specifically because is the game in trouble, quote-unquote trouble? I mean, it's from what I've heard, it's going to have to be reworked from the ground up. Why is that? Because the source code was made available online. They can't put it out. They're going to have to redo this thing. It was a bad leak. It's again, it's Sony's security. Bubblegum and paper clips keep that thing together, and that's why this happened. And unfortunately, this game is gonna get a couple of years delay. When you lose your creative director because of not him just moving on to something else, there were creative differences where now things have to be changed. That's a big problem. So we will get into that on the second half of the show. But look, couple of things, Fuzzy. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 isn't even out a week yet. And we just got an official post from the Call of Duty on X or on Twitter. Says Season 1 takes Black Ops to the criminal underground on November 14th. Folks, we're getting 3 new maps already in Season 1. One is called Hideout 6v6, Extraction 6v6, and Heirloom, which is 6v6 plus 2v2. And these maps look dope. I mean, wow. Talk about hitting on all cylinders. Again, November 14th is season 1. I don't know what the characters are going to be. I am praying to the gaming gods that it is John 117 because they are getting my $20, whatever the F it is. I am all in to get myself a Master Chief skin. And it's funny. And it's exciting, Fuzzy, because when you go to the character select screen and the characters are standing on opposite side, one is the Black Ops, one is the Rogue, and the way that they have it set up, it's like a fighting game. And it just gets me so excited to think that if Xbox, Activision, Bethesda, and the rest of their first-party, teams are smart, those character lists could be littered with Xbox first-party characters, and it should. There should be someone from Fallout, whether it be just someone wearing one of the jumpsuits or someone wearing the power armor. There should be at least the potential of a Gears of War. There should be other Halo characters. I'd like to see a Lock skin. Hell, I'd like to see Buck. You can take the Covenant, put them in there. It would be pretty dope to have, like maybe a downed Spartan that has now been taken over by the Flood, right? Like there is so many things you could do to get my money and obviously make Call of Duty even more fun for me, playing characters that I want to play. So before we get into the staggering 52% of US Xbox players on Series X and S actually playing the game on launch day. That is more than half of the people on Xbox. That is sick. I do want to kind of just make a mini topic out of this. Characters, folks, in the chat, do me a favor. Throw me your top 3 characters. What do you want to see? Because I think, look, I'm not a business analyst, but I'm sorry to say if they're not thinking down the road how, of what they can do for getting my money from my wallet by bringing in new characters for this game, then they're not hitting on all cylinders, in my opinion. Fuzzy, for you, what are your top 3 I must have characters in here?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. See, outside of Xbox exclusive IP characters, I really wish there was some sort of collab with Ubisoft to get Sam Fisher.
Oh, wow. Yeah, dude.
Get Sam Fisher in that game. I understand it's a Ubisoft IP, but it had a start on Xbox, and it's a beloved character that's been missing in action from their own game. They've appeared in a lot of other games, including mobile games. So I would say that's one that should be high on the list. But at some point, maybe to help spin up some buzz before Perfect Dark is released, Joanna Dark would be another one that definitely have in the lineup. Anybody from Gears, it makes sense. Same thing with Halo. You can start off with Master Chief, or you could go with just about any other character in Halo as well. But Joanna Dark and Sam Fisher are probably the first 2 to come to mind for me. Outside of that, they don't want to go to full Fortnite route, because I was I would say get somebody like Conquer and have it where he has his war helmet on. But I don't think they want to go quite that route. But they have so much in IP. I mean, you can get Doom Guy in there. Or Blazkowicz from Wolfenstein. There's endless possibilities, and all they have to do is just look in their own catalog of stuff. But one that's not in their catalog, at least just yet, it would be Sam Fisher. That's the outsider that I think they should make a deal or some sort of collab with. But everybody else, like within the Xbox fold, if they use a gun in a game, put them in Call of Duty at some point. That needs to happen.
No, absolutely. So real quick, Slander by Don Otaku, which, by the way, is making his debut this Wednesday evening with me, Kay, and the gang on Primetime Gaming. So shout out to Don Otaku. He says he wants the Concord characters added. Boo, this man.
Hey, they'll live longer there than they will in their own game.
That is very true. You know what's funny? You mentioned Ubisoft, and I'm actually surprised that this wasn't one of your choices. Would it be pretty dope to get someone from the Division? Like, it
Yeah,
just seems right, right? Like,
yeah,
look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Are they going to get wacky? Are they going to get goofy? Potentially. Is it going to get to the level of Fortnite? I don't personally think so, but I'm not going to front. Who doesn't want Deadpool to end
yeah.
up in this game? I mean, like, come on, right? Like, that would be dope. Like, I don't need a Wolverine running around with a gun. That I don't need. That's Fortnite-esque. But it would be pretty dope to get a Deadpool in here because, well, he uses guns. I just think that this is an amazing opportunity because, and again, I don't make a dime saying Xbox Game Pass or, telling you to go get it, telling you that it's the best service in the business. I don't, and that's fine. I don't do it for that. I do it because I enjoy the value that it comes with it. But when you can put a game out, Fuzzy, and we're going to get into some of these stats from this article, when you can put out a game as mammoth, as monstrous as Black Ops 6, and you see numbers like we've seen, still selling on PlayStation, still selling on Steam, hasn't come to the Nintendo Switch 2, potentially a launch title, making blockbuster numbers on Xbox, has tons of people subscribing for the first time. All of these numbers are being broken. This is happening. And with it happening, it means that listen, the success of this game, Fuzzy, I think really is the blueprint for how Xbox Game Pass moves moving forward. Like I said, I don't want to take this down the path of, hey, listen, they're going to pick up someone else, because I believe that they are. The success here proves that you can put a major first-party title that would be considered quadruple A, and there's nothing bigger than Call of Duty, and still make money all over the place and bring new people into your subscription service. What happened here is exactly what Microsoft was hoping to happen. So let's break down these stats. Now, again, I pulled the story from GameRadars.com. It was written by Dustin Bailey on October 31st. It says a staggering 52% of U.S. Xbox Series X and S players launched Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on the Monday after it's released. Analyst says it's bonkers engagement. Now, they say they have it here in all caps. Over half of all daily all active players on a platform playing one game is bonkers engagement, end quote. Now, according to Circana's player engagement tracker, on October 23rd, 19% of U.S. active Xbox Series players and 18% of U.S. active PlayStation 5 players launched Call of Duty headquarters. Now, this is coming in from Matt Piscatella, who says that on Blue Sky, highlighting how many people were jumping into Call of Duty, the ecosystem prior to Black Ops' 6 launch. He says on October 28th, 52% of active Xbox Series X and S players and 34% of PS5 players did so. Both were all-time highs for Call of Duty. In other words, among every single person in the US who turned on an Xbox Series console that Monday, over half of them played Call of Duty. Bro, like, that is, I'm sorry, like, that is bonkers engagement. And that is what gaming has become. Do not be fooled by the gaming community and their shenanigans, if you will, of console sales. Do not fall for the banana in the tailpipe with the IGNs and the GameSpots and the Kotakus who try to tell you that Xbox is third. Sure, they are third, but you know where they're number one? In money. And that's the only thing that actually matters in this business, not how many consoles you sell. Now, again, a decade ago, that was important. Sure, that was the meter, that was the marker. But that is not the case now. And interestingly enough, every negative story that was put out about how Game Pass wasn't going to grow, Call of Duty wasn't going to sell as many copies, PlayStation gamers were going to not buy the game out of protest. Well, all of that seems to now be water under the bridge. Let's get your hot take and your thoughts on the number. 52% of players. That's more than half on Xbox, and a whopping 34%, which is an all-time high, on PS5.
Yeah.
That's numbers, man.
I think it needs to be said that a lot of people praise Nintendo for their attachment rate. Now, I understand that's typically associated only with sales. But they're the only ones that have ever, come close to like a 50% attach rate. No other platform has ever done that, except for like maybe even with a pack-in, which even with pack-in games, they don't always reach that threshold. Just because some people don't care for that particular pack-in game. But to have a game with options of being able to either play it through a subscription, which you're paying $20 a month, or buy it outright for $70, or mixtures of both where you can get it at a discount because you have the subscription, or do the upgrade for a $30 deal. That's appealing to a lot of Xbox players within the ecosystem. And you can't help deny that them having that type of those options is going to make them a little more willing to turn on that game and at least try it. Like, there's a lot of people that we know that are tired of Call of Duty, or at least they were tired of the annual release of Call of Duty. After a while, you sometimes need a break from it. And some people haven't played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2. They skipped Modern Warfare 3. There are some people that may have even skipped even prior to that, like after Cold War and stuff. So I think there's a lot of people that were kind of on the sidelines that, maybe aren't willing to spend the $70 on launch day, or they wait for it to come on sale around the holidays. But now they have this option. Well, I already have the subscription, so I can just download it and play it. Oh, this is great. Now the fact that I didn't spend $70, I can do the $30 upgrade and get the Vault Edition and get, more skins and unlocks and things like that. So it goes to show that Xbox isn't the same company that they were as far as focusing solely on console sales, but it pays off in the long run by not doing so, because you have the console market, you have, well, not the market, but you have your console base within your ecosystem. For this game being multi-plat, you have those outside of it, which, shout out to the 35% of PlayStation owners that decide to play Call of Duty. Your patronage will help fund a lot of our first party studios and things. So thank you for your support. But even so, like, they got 60 million PS5s out there. If you got 35% of them, playing Call of Duty, they had to buy it. It wasn't like they could, get it in a subscription, apparently. So, they had to go out there and buy it. And with that being said, that's probably numbers better than some of their own titles. Like, when it comes to like some of their first party, sure, you'll get like the first Spider-Man did like 35 mil or 30 mil within a couple of months. And, the first God of War, well, not the first God of War, but the reboot, where it was the third person, was like a 20 mil shortly after its release type of thing. So that 35% of the PS5s out there, when there's 60 million of them out there in the wild, maybe some of them are still in scalper basements or whatnot. But outside of that, to have that many, that high of a percentage of those players out there playing Call of Duty goes to show that, yeah, this game is a system seller to some extent, or at least a game that you have to have or have to play, a must play type of game. And to have that kind of number from the Xbox standpoint, like the last we heard, they're somewhere in the 30 to 40 million range as far as consoles, and to have at least half of those, playing the game on launch, that's at least 15 million people on Xbox, at least. Now, that's not counting PC. That's right. Just the consoles. That's just Series X and Series S. So does it matter if you're making the sale when you have 15 million that have accessed the game, which either did it through subscription, which are getting renewable or revenue month over month, or maybe they did the upgrade. So you got that additional, micro transaction out of them, per se, or
Yes.
DLC sale. So in the end, numbers don't lie. The math is going to math, and it's going to be one of those things where Xbox and Microsoft are going to benefit financially from this. And hopefully this lesson being learned will be, carried over to all future Call of Duties, as well as some of their other multi-plat titles that they continue to put out there. So we'll see how it goes from here. But the greatest thing is that that's money back in Microsoft's pocket. Not that I don't think they were worried about getting that $70 billion back from Activision, but it definitely helps matters, and it helps all of the other studios in the long run, because now some of that pressure's off. They're going to meet their quotas. They're going to make the revenue that they need for the shareholders, and then that allows for, like you mentioned, maybe the potential for another Activision like acquisition, whether it be Sega, Take-Two, or who knows. But that's the thing that helps that, where if we're all playing this game, we all benefit, especially those in the Xbox ecosystem. So we'll see where the funding winds up. I'm pretty sure a good bit goes in Satya's pocket, but outside of that, we'll see a lot more probably investment in Activision as a whole and Xbox as a whole for future endeavors. So we'll see.
I mean, listen, it's undeniable that the game is going to sell. Now, mind you, this is just a week prior to its launch, right? You still have all of the rest of the year. I think it's safe to say, based on the buzz, the reviews, the conversation in the community, right? The amount of articles that continue to come out, like this one, are going to push the narrative or push the buzz for people. Like that, for instance, welcome Ross Turner, who's in the chat. I've never seen the name before. So Ross, of course, welcome to the show. He asks, is this Call of Duty Black Ops 6 worth playing? 1,000%. It is the best Call of Duty that I've played in a decade. That's not even jumping on a bandwagon. I mean, I'm not a multiplayer Call of Duty guy. I haven't been for 2 decades, and I'm halfway to prestiging a second time already. It was and has been some of the best multiplayer that I've played in years. I get those Xbox 360 dude bro shooter feels that were absent from Xbox for quite some time, and Call of Duty is back. And it's back in a big way. And it's back where you're seeing record numbers that I don't think are going to start to falter anytime soon. They got season 1 happening in 10 days, the first season, right? We already know that there's 3 maps that they're putting out, brand new maps. We don't know what character skins or additional characters. Unfortunately, the Replacer has been leaked as being one of the playable characters that's going to be happening. That's dope. I'll definitely use him. I mean, that's just for the fun of it. I mean, have you seen some of the commercials?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's so funny.
the one with Willy Wonka where he goes like this and he's that was freaking awesome. Like, oh my God, who thought of this? So yeah. Look, I can't stop gushing about this game. And like I said, coming from a non-Call of Duty multiplayer guy, this is a big deal. I'm literally just now starting the single player, and I have never in the history of Call of Duty ever gone to multiplayer first and then single player second. It's never happened. It happened, and I have to literally pull myself away from the multiplayer. That is how freaking good it is. And listen, at the end of the day, these are wild numbers. It's going to be the best-selling game for the month of October when we get the official stats. I think those usually come out by second week of November, so we'll know next week, unless it happens we get them early at the end of this week. But I would imagine it's going to be the best-selling game just for the month of October. I think it's safe to say it's going to be the best-selling game of the year. I know. I mean, there's been a lot of big games. Sure. Obviously, you see that Dragon Age knocked Call of Duty to second on Steam. A lot of people are enjoying the game. I bought the game. I haven't played it. I don't know when I'm going to play it. I probably shouldn't have bought it at the big edition, but I'm a BioWare fan, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to support them. I bought it, and well, I'll get to it when I get to it. Right now, it's Call of Duty is my life. And by the way, Has anyone been playing Vampire Survivors Ode to Castlevania? Because listen, I'm not going to front, like, you see me sitting in front of the camera. You don't see the craziness in the house because, I try to keep it professional. I was almost late for the show. Like, I was playing and I'm super far into the castle and I'm like, oh my God, it's 1 minute. I went running. Like, it's crazy. I was almost late for my own show because of that freaking game. That's another one. And it's under $4. Like, please go support this dude. Buy the DLC, buy this game. I have it on every platform except for Steam because I don't play on Steam, but I have it for the PlayStation. I have it for the Switch. I have it for the Xbox. Go support Ponicle and Vampire Survivors, please, because this new DLC is dope. And there are a lot of Belmonts that you're going to want to unlock. I've only unlocked some smaller characters. I haven't got to the Richters and the Alucards. I hope I get them. I hope I get them all. But it is halfway through the show. Again, this is one of the smaller shows. It runs about 60 or 70 minutes. Now, with a third person coming into the fray with I Love Coffee, we'll probably extend the show maybe upwards of 90 minutes. That's as far as it's going to go because my back really can't take sitting in this chair for that anything more than that. But I do want to get into the second topic and welcome in the 602 people here. So again, some housekeeping, right? Just want to go over the 5 winners that have not responded and have not reached out to me for their $50 gift card to their platform of choice. That is E-Ranks. That is Ian Glenn, Failsafe, King Styles, and Smitty Smith, which I just saw in there. So Smitty, obviously, please DM me, brother, so we can get you your code of choice.
E-Ranks is in the chat as well.
Oh, so E-Ranks is there. So E-Ranks, please DM me, brother, or email me or message me on Xbox Live. One way or another, we got to get you your $50 prize forthwith. But before we actually get into that, let me actually thank the 3 super chats that are here. And the first one of the day comes to us from Sith Lord, who drops a very generous $10 super chat. And he says, happy anniversary. Hope Mrs. Boom had a good weekend. She did. And the anniversary that he's talking about, folks, is the channel turned 7 years old on November 3rd. That is the day that we launched our first video, and it is up still. It's basically Welcome to Double Barrel Gaming. I'm not going to lie. It is freaking awful. I didn't even know how to make a thumbnail back then. It's basically the gameplay of Castle Wolfenstein. I don't even know which one it is. And it's awful. It's just so terrible. And I wouldn't have subscribed to my channel if it were me. But again, I was new and I learned on the cuff. I learned on the fly. And listen, 7 years later, here we are. We got almost 15.3 thousand subscribers. We are a few views away from 7 million views in 7 years. Like, that is insane kind of numbers. I mean, listen, I'm no mathematician. That's 1 million subs a year. I don't even know how that happened, to be honest with you. But, well, here we are. So, again, if you are subscribed, thank you very much. You are definitely helping us grow. If you're not subscribed and you are finding the channel for the first time, maybe through the thing I did with Bethesda, and I previewed Indiana Jones, and you found it through the algorithm of YouTube, please consider subscribing. We would greatly appreciate it. Smitty Smith, who won a $50 gift card, has dropped a very generous $5 super chat. And Smitty goes on to say, good afternoon, everyone. I hope Mrs. Boom had an excellent birthday, and I sent the message on Xbox Live. Brother, as soon as the show was done, I will get right to you. And yes, she had a great birthday. We hung out Friday after work, had a nice dinner. All of her family came over, and on Saturday, we had a great time. Lots of laughing to the point where tears were coming down, and that's how you know you're having a good time. And Sunday, we just chilled. Played a little Animal Crossing, bought our turnips, and now we are just chilling, waiting to sell them to make that money. But thank you so much, Smitty. Elemento Pio, generous friend of the program, has dropped a very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, there was a discussion on Iron Lords about GTA 6 would be a great candidate for Game Pass based on Call of Duty success and sales from package additions and microtransactions. Look, we still do not have a confirmation on who has marketing. I personally think And so let's just take 5 minutes to get into it, because this is a great thought and a theory. Sony needs this marketing, not because they're dying, not because they're going to third place. They need this marketing because they don't have Call of Duty anymore. And if you're wondering how much money they spent on Call of Duty marketing, it was a lot. It was big bags of cash that they would send over to Activision to market it. And they made oodles of console sales and big bucks marketing this game. They don't have that anymore. That money that was used for Call of Duty is now sitting, just waiting for it to be used for something else. Now, granted, some of that money might have been used for a lot of the third-party exclusives that they lock behind the paywall of PlayStation 5. I don't know. I'm not into their books. I couldn't tell you. What I can say is that they do have money left over. Now, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be pricey. So I don't know if there's going to be some sort of a dual thing where Xbox has marketing and they paid a little bit into it, and PlayStation has marketing and they paid into it, or PlayStation dropped what could be upwards of $1 billion on this marketing. This is going to be the biggest game when it comes out, whether that's holiday of next year or early 2026. It is going to be freaking massive. We all know that. Getting back to Game Pass, though, man, look, as a Game Pass subscriber, I think that you sign me up. Charge me whatever you want to charge me for the bonus content, $30, $50. I'll buy it. I'm getting it into my service. Do I think it's possible? I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's plausible. I just don't see how much they would have to pay to get that game into Game Pass. It would be, look, again, I'm not an analyst, folks. I'm just taking a blind stab at this. It'd have to be something like $2 billion. They'd have to pay them to get it in there. Because not that they're going to lose sales, because people are going to buy this in droves. Hell, people are still buying Grand Theft Auto 5, and that game launched in 2013. So it's going to sell.
Yeah.
But it would have to be some big bucks. Let's get your quick thoughts on this, because this is a great, great conversational piece. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. The number would definitely be in the billions. But I still have this weird feeling that I forget his name. Strasberg, I think is his name. Straussnick.
Yes.
I have a feeling he wants to try something a little different as far as pricing and whatnot. Like I know there's a lot of people going around saying, "Oh, it'll be $100 game." No. See, $100 once, it's not enough. If you make this like WoW, where you pay maybe $30 up front for like the single player portion, and then the online portion you have to do a subscription where you're paying $15 a month, or you could play online for free. It's just that you'll be homeless and you'll have to like steal stuff and hopefully not get caught by the cops or something like that. And otherwise you'll have to like start all over. But if you pay the subscription, you'll have like your own penthouse crib. You'll have a garage with a couple cars, closet full of clothes, an armory full of weapons. I could totally see them doing some sort of subscription thing. Now, could that be somehow rolled into or added into Game Pass as a perk? Like maybe you get 2 or 3 months of that, Grand Theft Auto 6 subscription. I could see that being something in Game Pass. But I think they're looking to change the game on how we play games or how we pay for games, and seeing how well subscription services work. Putting it in someone else's subscription service wouldn't work for Take-Two. They're greedy. We all know this. So
yeah,
they're going to want to have their own subscription. I mean, they've already had their VIP thing for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yep.
It didn't do as well as probably what they would hope. But then again, the game is so old and it's already been on PC.
Yep.
By the time they came out with the VIP thing, you had other options where you could mod the game and do whatnot without having to do the subscription. This time, if they started off where it's subscription required, like WoW, yeah, I could totally see them saying $15 a month or you're homeless and every time you get caught by the cops, you got to start over kind of thing. And I could totally see people being fine with that. There'll be the free to play people that will, be out there trying to hustle as best they can. And then there'll be the people that pay the $15 a month that are griefing them, being like, snitching on them. Be like, I just saw them steal a car, and, then they get busted and lose all their stuff. But I could totally see them going a different route. But man, if they go the conventional route with pricing to get that in Game Pass, it would be huge for Game Pass. It would be huge for Xbox. But that's a tall bill to pay for that. Like, I could see a year later getting it into Game Pass, but the first year,
wow,
that's a couple billion that would be better suited paying for other third party stuff. Like, they already have $1 billion to put towards third party. They could either do that or double the payment and just get GTA 6. Like, I think it's a better move to go with all of the other third party stuff like they've been doing. Instead. But we'll see. I mean, crazier things have happened. Like, we woke up one day and Activision was on the acquisition list, and nobody saw that coming. So there's that.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie, and I know that it would be a tall order. I personally think hearing Satya Nadella talk about the numbers for first quarter 25, which we know have come out, they're record-breaking numbers. Yes, they're down 29% in console sales. Anything down is not good, but they're up everywhere else. I personally think that Take-Two is on the docket. I think once Lena Khan is out, I think once there are new people in office, it's something they're going to want to add, because again, Grand Theft Auto, like Call of Duty, will never be exclusive. It will be here. If they could put it on your refrigerator and sell you a copy, they will do it. So it's never going to be, it's never been for the exclusivity play. It's just about adding that piece of content to your service. And if Call of Duty's success on every other platform plus Xbox Game Pass is a narrative or a poll or a pulse that you could take, I could see them actually doing something crazy, like, well, announcing they want to acquire 2K, because 2K comes with NBA 2K, comes with Grand Theft Auto, comes with BioShock, comes with a bunch of IP that they would love to own. Red Dead Redemption is going to get a sequel or a or something, right? That would be big. And again, if they could own them the way that they own Call of Duty now, it would just bring more value to the company, more value to the platform, more value to the service, and still give people who want to buy it on their platform of choice, whether that be PC, PS5, or Switch 2, you can go. In fact, they would encourage that you would go and buy it, because again, that's more money in their pocket. That's more investment into Xbox Game Pass. And as an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, I want more value for my $20. But let me make sure I'm caught up on Super Chats here. And, we have a new member, Phoenix Freestar. Well, Phoenix, brother, that is very kind of you to join the channel. We truly appreciate it here. So thank you. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops a very generous $2 Super Chat. And he says, Smitty said he sent you a message on Xbox Live. I did catch that, Will. Thank you so much for the reminder. And again, as soon as the show is done, I'm going to head over there and find out exactly what gift card he wants and send it over. Because again, I don't rest easy until all the prizes have been doled out, because again, we want to get those prizes to people as quick as possible. And we're just missing 4 people, which is great. But let's get into this particular story. Again, this comes the way of GamesRadar.com once again. Now, this was posted by Catherine Lewis, again, written on Halloween. And it says, Marvel's Wolverine reportedly loses its creative director to Xbox's Perfect Dark as Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart leads step up to fill the void. Look, Fuzzy, this is big news. It's big news, and I'm going to tell you why it's big news. Because I'm a Wolverine fan. most people in this chat probably love Wolverine one way or another.
Mhm.
Deadpool and Wolverine just broke every rated R record in the history of rated R film.
Mhm.
They broke records for Marvel and the MCU, and we know that they're going to have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman doing these characters. Like they said, funnily, hilarious enough in the film, they're going to be doing it to their 90. They're going to make a bunch of money with these actors playing and portraying these characters.
Mhm.
When it comes to gaming, right now, Marvel is, when you equate Marvel as a brand, most people will say that's PlayStation because of Spider-Man and because of Miles Morales. Wolverine surprised a lot of people many, many years ago when it was announced. It was just a CG of him in a bar, and everyone went crazy, and rightfully so. It's Wolverine, and it's Insomniac. Now, granted, if you don't have confidence in Ted Price and the team, that's fine. I'm not going to fight you on it. I happen to really, really like Insomniac. But there is a problem here. There's a problem that the creative director has gone, and not because he got done. See, this is the difference, Fuzzy. When a creator or a creative director leaves a company, it's usually at the end of development for a current project that they're working on, because that project is now coming to a close. They're going to be getting ready to make it gold, and it's going to go live, and they're going to sell it, and people are going to play it and enjoy it, and hopefully it gets high scores. That's not what happened here. From what we are hearing and from the Game File interview where we're getting this information from, it was because of creative differences. And some of those creative differences are certainly coming out of what people thought and said online after the game basically leaked online, which is a freaking big problem. So let me read some of this from the article, and then we will get your hot take. We're going to elaborate on this a bit.
Yeah.
It says this: there's reportedly been a bit of a change in the development team for Marvel's Wolverine, with two of the leads behind Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart reportedly taking over from the previous creative director and game director. That's according to a new report from GameFile via VGC, which claims that Rift Apart creative director Marcus Smith and game director Mike Daly will be taking those same roles for the upcoming Wolverine game. They'll apparently be replacing previous creative director Brian Horton, who reportedly departed the studio this summer to work on Xbox's upcoming Perfect Dark reboot, as well as game director Cameron Christian, who's claimed to be saying at Insomniac Games, just holding a different role. Now, again, he's staying there for how long, we don't know, but let me continue the article. GameFile says that according to its sources, the Wolverine dev team came to creative decisions surrounding the game. Smith and Daly have plenty of experience that should hopefully bode well for the upcoming release. Rift Apart is an excellent PS5 game itself, and I absolutely agree. If you have not played it, it is like playing a Pixar film. It is phenomenal. But the pair also held those same director roles on Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and that's very interesting. On top of that, according to the article, Smith was a creative director on Marvel's Spider-Man and both Marvel's Spider-Man and Miles Morales, while Daly was a lead designer on both of those titles. Needless to say, they know their superhero games, and while we still don't know exactly how Marvel's Wolverine will actually play, it sounds like the pair will be well placed to help bring that to life. So, look, Fuzzy, again, is it doom and gloom for Wolverine as a game? It is not. You have seasoned veterans who are integral, in my opinion, based on the information that we just read, not only on Rift Apart, which was a phenomenal game, but they've worked with Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2. Now, that's great. Is it problematic though? I will only time is going to tell, because one of the biggest complaints from the Wolverine leak is that it felt too much like watching people play Spider-Man or Miles Morales. The way he climbed up walls, the way he was running on rooftops. I mean, listen, that's not how Wolverine operates normally. And again, this is Insomniac, so they are going to tell their own version of Wolverine, which is great. And they've changed some things with Spider-Man 2018. They changed some things with Miles Morales. They certainly changed things with Venom in Spider-Man 2, which again a lot of people didn't like. But you know what? It's their story. Let them tell it how they want. I will say though, this game was originally supposed to come out in 2025. I do not see this game coming out at least until 2026, possibly 2027, because from what we're hearing and what's going on, again, it's just rumors at this point. They have to remake this game from the ground up. And that's because that source code was leaked online. People were playing it. People probably are still playing Wolverine right now on their PCs. They cannot put that source code out. They have to build this game from scratch. And again, when you lose two creative directors, both for the game and the actual creative director, and you start hearing that there were creative differences, the game is probably not in the greatest of shapes. Let's get your thoughts.
Well, I know a lot of people were hoping for like a Ratchet and Clank, sequel, and the leak from Insomniac, which I know some outlets didn't want to talk about because they're a little too close to the sun, kind of thing. There may have been some hope that there would be a Ratchet and Clank thing, but it looks like that cancellation was probably true. And then moving those directors onto Wolverine, if that didn't put a nail in the coffin of Ratchet and Clank having a sequel this generation, I don't know what will. That's one part of it. The other part of it is, I believe the creative director that left wound up going over to the Initiative, which, if I'm not mistaken, they lost the creative director to Insomniac with what's his name, Drew.
Oh yeah, I know. Yes, he went back to Insomniac, so kind of like they switched places. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so they're playing musical chairs, which happens in the industry, but like Boom said earlier, it's usually at the end of a project. When it's in the middle of a project, it's not necessarily on good terms. It's one of those things where somebody didn't feel like they were being appreciated or didn't like the direction that the project was going, or something to that effect. I mean, people change jobs for a number of reasons, but this one sounds like it's maybe they were working on a certain vision of what the game should be, and now they're being told that they have to label it with or fill it with microtransactions or whatever the case may be. There might be some of those types of disputes going on behind the scenes. So having it where one guy leaves, goes to the Initiative, another one takes a different role within the company, kind of thing. I'm not going to, say how far of a delay this may cause, but I think Boom is right, where I wouldn't really expect this in 2025. I think Ghost of Yotai is your only 2025 first party that is exclusive to the platform. Well, then again, there's Fair Game, but given how Concord and Firewalk were treated, I'm hoping that they've learned from that and apply that to Raven Studios as well as Fair Game in general. So, or Haven Studio, I should say. So that way they don't have another Concord situation. But Wolverine 2026 or 2027, whatever the case may be, which I guess would help matters for them, considering if Xbox goes with their next-gen console in 2026, they're going to need that heavy hitter to draw attention away from next generation titles, possibly like Blade and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting, but the limited information that we have now, as optimistic as I would like to be, it doesn't look good in the grand scheme of things as far as with these types of changes at this point in the project. I know people used to say doom and gloom with Halo. And when it released outside of the multiplayer content, it released in a fabulous state. Now they did delay it a year. Will we see a similar situation with Wolverine with these types of changes? And especially after the leak and seeing what it looks like on PC, yes, that's very early in development. There's tons of time to, tighten up the animations and whatnot, and polish a lot of the movement. But I don't know. I'm excited for the game still, but I'm my expectation is, tempered at this point, just because I don't think that this is something that we're going to see next year. 2026 seems like a more realistic, time frame at this point. And I'm just surprised that a lot of news outlets aren't really talking about this. Like, had this been Xbox, which we can go back in history and look at every time, even if the janitor leaves a studio at Xbox, it's like front page news in the gaming media. It's like, oh, Tony is no longer working at 343 or Halo Studios. He decided to take his mop elsewhere. But who cares? Like, but then again, when it's PlayStation, oh, well, they laid off a bunch of people and the guy went on a shopping spree for cars to pick up one of his coworkers, kind of thing. Yeah, that gets kind of brushed under the rug. But yeah, I don't have the most that much confidence as far as what things are going to look like, at least until we see another, unveiling of it, which will probably be, maybe in 2025 to tell us it's going to be coming out in 2026.
Yeah.
I could totally see them saying, oh yeah, we're going to show Wolverine at this state of play. And then at the end, it's like fall of 26 or something like that, and piss people off, but they'll just be happy to see it again, type of thing. But yeah, it sucks. Hopefully they can get it figured out. I mean, mismanagement used to be supposedly, according to gaming media, only an Xbox thing, but maybe it's a Sony thing now as well, it seems. Who knows? We'll see.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the game is gonna release at some point or another, right? Wolverine is happening. It's gonna get a major delay. It did lose two of its game directors. And again, veterans of superhero games, more specifically Insomniac Spider-Man games, are going to be taking the helm. I think that is definitely a good point of contention for the game. The problem, I think, really does lie on this leak.
Yeah.
The leak happened. The game's source code is out. It is being played right now. And a lot of conversation happened from the leak. And I'm sure that they took that as major criticism about how the game felt very samey to Spider-Man. That's not what Wolverine is about. Wolverine is it's basically a rated R game. And he's cutting through people left, right, and center. I don't know which way they're going to tell the story. We know, and again, we heard that Jean Grey was supposed to be in it as their version of Mary Jane, which again, it's that sameness. Like you get Spider-Man, you have the Spider-Man 1 missions with Mary Jane, which were okay. They were a bunch of sneak fests. Now she's an assassin in Spider-Man 2, where she's shocking everybody, right? So that Jean Grey was supposed to take on that role. That's very samey. I don't know if I want that, to be honest with you. And I think they might have taken that criticism to heart, and maybe that's why we're hearing behind closed doors that it's possible that they might actually have to start from scratch. If they have to start this game from scratch, because I don't know what assets they're going to be able to use, Fuzzy, this is pushing this into 2027, at least in my opinion. I mean, think about it. The game is out there for everyone to play. How much of what's there can they actually use? I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Only time is going to tell. So listen, again, this is normally a 60-minute show. We're going to extend it a little bit because we do have a new panel member joining us. And I would imagine that I Love Coffee is going to be joining us next week. His family stuff is super important. It's always on his channel, Family First. So, we will get him back here next week. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation enough to hit the like button. We did get into a couple of mini topics regarding the characters for Call of Duty and which ones we think should happen, of course. And we got into the two major conversation pieces about the amount of players on Xbox. And you know what's interesting? It completely lost my chain of thought. These stats were only PS5 and Series X and S. Those stats had nothing to do with PS4 and Xbox One, which we know that Black Ops is available on.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that there's over 50+% of players still on PS4. I can only imagine how many of those players also bought Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Again, I cannot wait for the numbers to, again, it's already shut down the narrative from the gaming media about Game Pass being unsustainable. Xbox, being in third place, it's not gonna move the needle. They're not gonna get new subscribers. No one's gonna care. They're gonna lose sales. Xbox is dead. All of that rhetoric is out the window, and I'm here for it. But let me just make sure we are caught up on super chats, and then we will get everyone out of here. Let me just get to the comment section. So we are up to date. Smitty Smith, I'm going to get to you as soon as the show is done. I'll find your message on Xbox, and we'll get you in E-Ranks. I saw you again, E-Ranks, either email me, message me on Xbox Live, or DM me. Either or, we'll get you your prize as well. And again,
King Styles wasn't King Styles another one as well?
Yes, he was. I actually messaged him. So King Styles, I know he said he had to clock in, so I don't know if he's still here. King Styles, if you're here, brother, DM me forthwith so we can get you your $50 gift card to your digital platform of choice. And the only one after that would be Fail Safe and Ian Glenn, who are also $50 gift card winners. And just reach out to me. Again, there's 3 ways you can do it. You can do it on Xbox Live. You can go to the About page on the YouTube channel where it has the business email address. And, of course, you can reach out to me via X. DM me, and we'll get you your prizes. But let's get everyone out of here. Again, thank you so much for the generous super chats. Those do allow for us to do these big giveaways, and we are incredibly grateful to be able to do them. Fuzzy, let's sell the brand of not only where you have a YouTube channel, which is the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. The Misses started a horror podcast called Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. That happens Friday evenings. We're going to get that information where they can not only subscribe to your channel, to her channel, but also follow you both on social media.
Well, as always, it's always a pleasure doing these podcasts on Monday afternoons. Get things like breaking news and some of the stuff that's happened over the weekend. So always love doing this with you, Boom. Shout out to the chat. Love interacting with you guys. Love the conversation. I know there are a few that are, leaning Team Blue that are always like, oh, whole slate. And even if whole slate goes, just know that it helps fund first party for Xbox. So
indeed,
that's a win-win. You get the games and we get the money and the game. So win-win. But outside of that, if anybody wants to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app, formerly known as Twitter, at @fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere and you'll be able to find me. You can also find me on YouTube. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. I do need to kick it into high drive for Forza content and whatnot, but I promise I will be getting to that here soon. But if you have any interest in horror games or horror movies, don't forget, follow my wife, Ferocious Fee 78 on Twitter, or do a search for Fright Night with Ferocious Fee on YouTube. Every Friday night at 6 p.m. we do a horror podcast. We go over a movie and give our breakdown of it as far as how it fits in, certain genres, whether it's possession, monsters, found footage was a couple of ones we did recently. Last movie we did a review of was Trap. It's a more of a thriller, not really a slasher because you don't get to see any harm per se, except for one exception. But outside of that, just give us a follow or give us a listen on YouTube. Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. I'll put the link in the chat here in a moment. And Twitter and social media is basically where you can find all the podcasts that me and my wife are on throughout the week. Like later on today, Fun Speculations channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for FSP. Hope to check us out there. And then on Friday morning, Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place, same channel. Hope to see you guys in the chat. Thanks again.
You know what's funny? You talk about podcasts. I almost forgot, and I got to actually give myself a reminder. Tonight, I'm going to be on a Colt Eastwood show, XNC.
Nice.
I'll be there for an hour because, again, normally when I'm not doing live shows, the evenings are, well, that's Mrs. Boom's time. Mm-hmm. But Colt had reached out and said, listen, do you want to jump on? And of course, why wouldn't I? Colt and I are good friends. Obviously, Mag is one of the founding members of Primetime Gaming, so I'll be hanging out with them for about an hour. The show goes live for them. They start at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to hang out from 8 to 9, maybe a few minutes afterwards. But yes, I will be on XNC tonight on Colt Eastwood's channel, along with Mag. And again, I don't know what the topics are, but I'm sure they're going to be very spicy nonetheless. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for checking out the show. Thank you so much for the super chats and the continued channel member behind the scenes. We certainly appreciate that. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.